Welcome back. I want to continue this Lightning Network tutorial by completing a Lightning Network transaction between Alice and Bob. And this will basically be the goal of this video. By the end of this video, we will have a Lightning Network transaction between Alice and Bob. And in the previous video, I created this Docker stack, and I will leave a link to this diagram in the description below. And we can see that I have 4 components in this stack. And those 4 components, they are going to match those 4 panels over here. And I'm going to make sure that they will keep the same structure. So on the left side, we are going to have Alice's components. And on the right side, we're going to have Bob. In the upper panels, we are going to have the Bitcoin D components. And in the lower panels, we are going to have the Lightning Network panels. So this is the structure that we can see over here on the screen. And we can see that I have this 5th panel over here at the bottom. This one will be used by my Docker. And all of the logs from all of the containers will eventually find their way into this 5th panel over here at the bottom. So I'm going to start by running my Docker Compose using the command docker compose up. And as you can see, this is all of the logs from the services that are being deployed right now. So now that I got my Docker Compose up, I basically created a private blockchain. This is my own testnet that I will use in this tutorial. And this private blockchain, this is basically a completely new blockchain. It starts from 0. There aren't any blocks in this blockchain. And the first thing that I need to do is to mine a couple of blocks so that I will have few coins in circulation. So I will start with Alice. And I will log into Alice's Bitcoin D container using the Docker command docker execute interactive terminal Alice Bitcoin D, and I need to log into the bash session. So now you can see that I am logged into Alice's container. This is Alice's Bitcoin D container, and over here I'm going to start to mine my new blocks in a few minutes. Now, when you install Bitcoin D, you also get the command line tool, which is Bitcoin CLI. And I'm going to use these command line tools to do all of my interaction with my Bitcoin D node. But first I need to give it some parameters. Mostly I need to specify where the data dir is located. So in our case, as we can see in the Docker Compose file itself that we created in the previous video, look for the link in the description below, the data dir is just located under /data. Now I'm going to use the command get blockchain info, and using this command I can see all of the information about my blockchain. I want to make sure that it is indeed a new blockchain. And let's see over here at the top, just a little bit more. There we have it. We can see that I am indeed using the regtest network. And it is a completely new blockchain, 0 blocks, 0 headers, which basically means this is a safe blockchain to use. I don't have to worry that I might be using the wrong network. I'm not using the mainnet. I'm not using somebody else's blockchain. This is my own private testnet for this specific experiment. Now this tool, this Bitcoin CLI, it has many commands. It supports many commands. So I'm going to use the help command to get a list of all of my possible commands. And the first one that I'm looking for is the one that will create a new address. I want to create new blocks. I want to mine new blocks. And I want the block reward to go to a specific address that is controlled by this wallet, by Alice. So I can see over here, get new address. This is basically the command. And over here in my command line, I'm going to use the Bitcoin CLI with get new address. And as you can see, I just created this new address over here, this 2UX, whatever it is. And this is Alice's address. And I want to store it as a variable, so it will be easier for me to access this address in the future. So Alice equals to this address, and let's see that it works, echo Alice. And yes, we can see Alice is now stored as a variable. It will be much easier for me to access this address in the future. And now that I got this address, I want to see how I can mine new blocks. So I'm going to use the bitcoin CLI command for help. And let's look over here at the top. Should be around here. There should be a generate. Yes, generating. And we need to use the command generating to address or generate to address. So let's go down here. Bitcoin CLI datadir data generate to address. The address that I'm generating to, the address that will receive the block reward, should be Alice. So I'm going to use the Alice variable. And I'm going to create 105 blocks. And yes, there is an error. Yes, the order is of course incorrect. It should be 105 blocks to Alice. There we have it. And now if we take a look at our fifth panel over here at the bottom, we can see that both Alice Bitcoin D as well as Bob Bitcoin D are both up to date. And we can see right now they are just running the Lightning Network nodes as well. And you can also see the order in which those nodes are getting updated. Because at the end of the day, the Lightning nodes, they receive information about the blockchain from the Bitcoin D node. They are not connected to the blockchain directly. They require their own Bitcoin D node in order to receive the new blocks, validate those new blocks, and only then they tell those Lightning Network nodes, listen, we got new blocks, so take those new blocks and do whatever you need to do with this new information. Now, we can also check the Bitcoin D services themselves in order to see those new blocks. For example, over here in Alice's Bitcoin D, I'm going to use the Bitcoin CLI and use the command get blockchain info again. There we go. And over here at the top of the screen, let's go up a little bit. Just a little bit more. And we can see that we got those 105 new blocks on our regtest. This is for Alice. And we can do the same thing for Bob. We can go to his panel right over here and connect to this panel using the Docker command just as before. So we're going to do Docker execute interactive terminal Bob Bitcoin, sorry, not Docker, Bob Bitcoin D, and we need a bash. And just as before, Bitcoin CLI, the parameter of the datadir, there we go, should be equal to the data folder, and get blockchain info. And let's go up. Over here. A few more. There we go. And we can see that this is again 105 blocks on the regtest, just as we expect it to be. Okay, so now we already saw how we can work with our Bitcoin node with the Bitcoin CLI. And now it is time to move on to the Lightning Network node. And I'm going to start with Alice, just as before. I'm going to use the Docker command. So Docker execute interactive terminal for Alice Lightning Network. And of course I need the bash, so bash. And over here I can use the Lightning CLI command because it also comes with a CLI tool in order to get information about the state of this node. So I'm going to use the command get info, and I can see over here the ID of this node, the alias name, and over here at the bottom I can see that it is aware of all of the blocks, 105 blocks on the regtest, so this node is ready to go. Now, before Alice can start and use this Lightning node, she first needs to send some coins to an address that this Lightning Network node controls. So we need to create a new address specifically for this Lightning node. So just as we did with the Bitcoin CLI, I'm going to do Lightning CLI help to get a list of all of the commands. And let's look for the one that we need right now, which is to generate a new address. So over here at the top, let's see, get new address, should be somewhere around here. Yep, there we go. So Lightning CLI get new address. New address ADDR. Yes, this is the right command, new address as ADDR. And we can see that I got those new addresses over here. This address is controlled by the Lightning Network node itself. So I'm just going to copy this address. And in order for Alice to actually use her Lightning Network node, she needs to send some coins to this address that you just generated. So I'm going to copy this address and I'm going to take it back to the Alice Bitcoin D node over here at the top. And I'm going to use the command send to address. So send to address, there we go. And now I'm going to specify the amount, which is 5 Bitcoins. And I'm going to specify the address. And I got an error. I guess first you need to put the address and only then the amount. Yes, this is the right structure. This is the transaction ID. I can also see it in the log of my Alice Bitcoin D. And now, just as in the real world, I need to wait for this transaction to confirm. So I need to wait for 6 blocks. But luckily for me, because this is a private blockchain that I control, I can create those 6 blocks just using the Bitcoin CLI. So again, Bitcoin CLI, generate to address, 6 blocks, and Alice. And let's wait for a second. And there we have it. Now if we look at the bottom of the screen, at the lower panel, we can see that those blocks appear first on Alice's Bitcoin D, then on Bob Bitcoin D, and then it starts to appear on the Lightning networks of Alice and Bob as well. So both Alice and Bob are now aware of this transaction, and it has been confirmed on their respective copies of the blockchain, and we can start using our Lightning Network nodes. Actually, we can also see those funds on the Lightning Network node. Let's go back to this panel of the Lightning Network node, of Alice's Lightning Network node, and we will use the command list funds. And these commands will basically show me the funds in this node. And I can see that it shows the funds in 2 ways. First, we got the value in Satoshis, and then the total amount in millisatoshis. In the Lightning Network, it is sometimes common to refer to payments in the millisatoshi denomination and not in the full Satoshi denomination. This is just something that you need to get used to. Sometimes when you're working with Bitcoin, the way to refer to the amounts will be in Satoshis, but if you are using the Lightning Network, many times the way to refer to the amount will be in millisatoshis. So be warned, be watchful. This type of different denomination will repeat itself many times throughout your use in the Bitcoin protocol and with the Lightning Network protocol. Okay, so I want to do now a very quick recap. Alice got some coins into circulation by mining few blocks. Then she sent some of her coins to an address that her Lightning Network node controls. And now we want to get Bob into the picture. We want to have some sort of a connection between Alice's Lightning Network node and Bob's Lightning Network node. So it is quite obvious that we should go to Bob Lightning Network panel over here, and we should enter Bob Lightning Network by using the Docker command execute interactive terminal Bob Lightning Network and the bash session. And within Bob's Lightning Network container, we can also use the command get info to get some information about this node. And first we can see that this node is indeed up to date. It is aware of the 111 blocks that were already mined on the regtest. But what we really care about is this Lightning Network ID. This is a unique ID. Each and every Lightning Network node has such an ID. And this ID is required in order to allow other nodes to connect with this specific node. So I'm going to take this ID number and I need to give it to Alice so that she will be able to connect to Bob's Lightning Network node. And now on the Alice side of the Lightning Network, we will use the command, the Lightning CLI command, connect, and we will connect using the ID that we got from Bob, and the IP address would be Bob LN. And now both nodes are connected to each other. We can see it over here at the bottom of the screen as well. Both nodes are aware of each other. They know how to interact with each other. They still don't have a lightning channel between the two, but they are at least aware of it. Now, if you find it a bit weird that Bob needs to give both his ID as well as his IP address to Alice so that she can connect, well, this is just the way that the Lightning Network is built. And usually what happens in the real world is that stores will put some sort of a QR code with this information, or they will publish it on the website. For example, this is an image from Blockstream store. You can see that they published some nodes they want you to connect to in order to be able to transact with this store. So yeah, this is basically what happens in real life, at least for now. The store owners are publishing the IP address as well as the ID of the Lightning Network node. Anyway, now that both nodes are aware of each other, it is time for Alice to fund a channel between those two nodes. Don't forget, Alice is the only one who has coin right now, so she is the only one who can fund a channel. So using the command line lightning CLI, fund channel, the ID of the node that we want to have a channel with, and then the amount of satoshis, pay attention, satoshis, not millisatoshis, that we want to have in this channel. So there we go, and we can see that both nodes are now aware of this new channel. But a channel in the Lightning Network sense is basically a transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain. When I open a channel between two nodes on the Lightning Network, I'm basically publishing a transaction onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So in order for this channel to be active, I need to wait for a couple confirmations from the blockchain. And this is why I'm going back to Alice's Bitcoin node. And I will mine 6 more nodes on this blockchain so that the transaction, the opening transaction between the Lightning Network nodes of Bob and Alice will be confirmed on the blockchain itself. There we go, 6 blocks. Now we should have our channel confirmed. Now that our funding transaction was included in the blockchain, we can look at both Alice's and Bob's Lightning Network nodes using the command lightning CLI list channel, and we can see that both are now connected to each other and that both channels are also funded with these 5 million satoshis that are used in order to open this channel between the two. This is for Alice, and we can of course do exactly the same for Bob. So let's go to Bob's panel over here, lightning CLI, lightning, there we go, CLI, and again list channel. And we also again, we can see the list of the channels. This is the channel between Bob and Alice, also 5 million satoshis between the two. This is how it works. And yeah, we can see both channels are now, both nodes are now aware of this new channel between the two, and they can start to use this channel. Now, in our scenario, Bob doesn't have any coins. So Bob will be the one who will request Alice to send him some Bitcoins. And he will do so using the command line, lightning CLI, invoice. Then he will insert the amount of satoshis, milli satoshis that he wishes Alice to send him. Yeah, I don't like this differentiation between satoshis and milli satoshis, but this is just the way it has been designed. And you should also give it some sort of a name, like pay me. This is the name of the payment request. And some description. I'm just going to write please. And this is it. This over here is the payment request that was made by Bob. We can see that we got this error, insufficient fund. I actually think it is some sort of a bug because, as you will see in a few minutes, there are sufficient funds in order to make this transaction go through, but it still might give you this error, so be warned. And over here, this LNB, this is basically the payment request itself. This is what Bob should give to Alice so that she will be able to produce the proper transaction and send him the funds. So let's give this information to Alice. On Alice's Lightning Network node, I'm going to use Lightning CLI Pay. I'm going to pass this payment request. I can see that there is some space in the middle. I guess this is something just to do with the terminal. So let's just remove this space in the middle. There we go. And now let's pay. And there we have it. We can see that this transaction has been approved almost immediately. We can use the command Lightning CLI to list our funds, to see all of the funds in our node. And now we can see that we have those 50,000 millisatoshis missing from our account. And if we will go to Bob's Lightning Network, and we will use the same command, Lightning CLI list funds, we should see that he received those 50,000 millisatoshis. There we have it. Bob basically received this payment, and this is it. This is how we complete our circle. We created our own private blockchain. We mined some coins on this blockchain. We gave Alice's Lightning Network node some of those coins. Alice connected to Bob using the Lightning Network protocol. They opened a channel between the two. This channel was confirmed on the blockchain, and then Bob was able to make a payment request to Alice, and Alice used this request to transfer the funds to Bob. This is it. This is how the Lightning Network works in a very general way. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helped you to better understand how the Lightning Network works. And I hope to see you in the next videos. Thank you for watching.